Hello and welcome to Dott TV Midday News. I am Chiamaka Ezaputa. The Delta State government is preparing to host an investment and economic summit in August aimed at attracting foreign investment and showcasing the state's economic potential. The government says investors from China, Brazil, and several other countries have confirmed their participation. Priscilla Ifani reports.
Government officials, representatives of trade union, the Nigerian Chamber of Commerce, and other stakeholders met in Asaba to fine-tune plans for the summit. With the theme Harnessing Our Strength, Unlocking Our Potentials, the event is designed to promote investment opportunities across key sectors of the Delta State economy. Secretary to the state government and chairman of the organizing committee, Dr. Kingsley Emu, said more than 25 international investors have confirmed their participation and will assess investment opportunities in the state. The government says the summit will position Delta State as a preferred investment destination and strengthen partnership with both local and international investors.
We're looking forward to trade investments. We're looking forward to lifestyle. We're looking forward to agriculture. We're looking forward to digital economy, new varied economy, and then science and innovation to all this year because of the idea of products or presentations that we have to make or will feature both at the panel and at the exhibition level as during the concert.
Be glad that even after now, as you make plans to fine-tune your presentations in the course of the summit, you also try as much as possible to look at how you are going to become key players in these different sectors. And like I said, through SPBs, where individuals can come together.
Brazil has come a long way with us, especially with this administration. There's a whole lot that are ongoing, and there's a whole lot that Delta State can say foundation has been laid. All we need to do now is plug ourselves into the various, because the office of the vice president has done a whole lot, and the fact that he is the one that co-chairs the strategic partnership with Brazil.
Dr. Emo also says the event will feature the participation of senior government officials, with the Nigerian vice president expected to formally declare the summit open. Reporting from Asaba, Priscilla Ifani, Dott TV News.
Also, the Delta State government says it remains committed to inclusive governance and equitable distribution of development projects across the state. The Commissioner for Works, Rural Roads and Public Information, Charles Aniabu, stated these while featuring a Dott television flagship program, The Morning Dew.
Aniabu said Governor Sheriff Oboriwori's administration is implementing projects across all ethnic nationalities and communities in the state, stressing that the government's priority is delivering the dividends of democracy. He highlighted key interventions in road infrastructure, healthcare, education, youth and women empowerment, as well as prompt payment of workers' salaries and pensioners' entitlements.
If you look at what Oborowori is doing, it's quite novel. The moment you look deeply, you could see that he is very much detribalized in these two very important issues. That is, how different persons participate in government, and how projects will also go to the people. Because he's very convinced in his mind that the money he's going to be spending belongs to all segments of society, the 25 local government areas.
On security, the commissioner said the state has strengthened intelligence gathering and community-based initiatives with plans to launch a security trust fund to further safeguard lives and property. He added that the government is driving economic growth through investment in agriculture, solid minerals, coastal development, and improved electricity supply while expanding critical infrastructure across the state.
There are a whole lot that is going on into ensuring that Delta is safe for all of us. You know that in this Delta, there is nightlife in virtually all our major cities. Whether you are in Ughelli, whether you are in Warri, whether you are in Asaba, it is because a whole lot of effort is being put in for the purpose of getting our security agencies to play very, very critical role
Speaking on the political climate, Aniago described political realignment as a normal feature of democracy and urged politicians and residents to embrace peaceful engagement, noting that freedom of association is a constitutional right. Aniago reaffirmed the Oboriwori administration's commitment to transparency, inclusive governance, and people-centered development, assuring Deltans that more impactful projects would be delivered across the state. Success Benjamin, reporting for Dott TV.
Relieved to be home but carrying deep emotional scars, that is a reality for hundreds of Nigerians who have returned home in recent days aboard a special evacuation flight from South Africa. The emergency airlift follows a fresh wave of xenophobic attacks and anti-migrant protests targeting foreign nationals. While many escaped with their lives, they were forced to abandon their businesses, livelihoods, and years of hard work, returning to Nigeria with little or nothing. Our correspondent, Odiase Onyeka, took to the street of Asaba, the Delta State capital, to gauge public reaction.
The mood on the streets of Asaba is one of anger, sympathy, and growing frustration. For many residents, the images of fellow Nigerians fleeing South Africa have struck a deeply emotional chord, while some believe the immediate priority should be providing economic support and rehabilitation for the returnees.
I'm very happy. I'm very glad that I'm back home because Nigeria is my home. Nigeria is my country. You know, we are in South Africa. We have tried. We stayed long there, like 12 years, you know. So now we come back to Nigeria. They say we must go.
Others are urging the federal government to adopt a firmer diplomatic stance in addressing the recurring attacks on Nigerians living in South Africa.
The particular one that affects me is the Nigerians that are there. Because if our governments are doing well, doing what they're supposed to do, creating jobs, providing the basic amenities for all the youths, we wouldn't be traveling to South Africa, not because we are talking about Europe, it's a different case, but Africa, within Africa, whatever that is in Africa, South Africa is in Nigeria. So it's very, very disappointing that our government is disappointing us to allowing our youth to travel to South Africa, for them to receive such mayhem they are receiving in that South Africa.
I feel very bad about it. I don't know what Nigerians have done to South Africa to deserve that. Everybody or every affected person must feel bad. So I feel very bad. If there is any problem, I think the countries can have a talk, any argument, any thing to dispute it. You understand? They can come close together to dispute it.
As the evacuation flights continue, the focus is gradually shifting from rescue efforts to reintegration, with hundreds of displaced Nigerians now back on home soil. Attention is returning to how they can build their lives after losing almost everything. The pressing question remains, what next for these returnees? From Asaba, Onyeka Odiase, Dott TV News.
Meanwhile, the Senate has mandated its Committee on Foreign Affairs to investigate the renewed wave of xenophobic attacks against Nigerians in South Africa and report back within 2 weeks to guide the federal government on appropriate diplomatic and policy responses. The resolution followed a motion sponsored by Senator Asupo Ekpeyong, during which lawmakers unanimously condemned the attacks that have claimed lives and destroyed properties of many Nigerians. He stated that over 1,000 Nigerians were being repatriated from South Africa and argued that Nigeria's foreign policy should be reassessed. Also contributing to the debate, Senator Adams Oshomole proposed that Nigeria should appropriate the profit of South African companies operating in the country, including financial institutions, and use them to fund and compensate Nigerian victims of xenophobic attacks. Staying with the Red Chambers, that is now asking the federal government to suspend the rehabilitation on the reintegration program for Boko Haram members, while urging security agencies to intensify efforts to arrest and prosecute terrorists and other criminal elements responsible for attacks across the country. The resolution was adopted during the plenary on Tuesday following a motion sponsored by Senator Abdulaziz Yaradua on the escalating attacks, abductions and killings of 7 and retired military personnel, which he described as a growing threat to national security and state authority. The Senate also directed its committees responsible for security matters to strengthen oversight of security agencies and ensure that the nation's security chiefs are put on their toes over the security situation. As part of its resolutions, the upper chamber also resolved that a delegation led by the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, should meet with the President Bola Tinubu to discuss the worsening security crisis. Moving on, the administrator of the Presidential Amnesty Program, Dennis Otuaro, has stated that the program's peace-building process in the Niger Delta is yielding positive results, describing the region as the most peaceful in the country. He stated this in his remarks at the opening ceremony of the 6th batch of the 2-day Leadership Alternative Dispute Resolution and Mediation Training for PAP stakeholders. Otuaro, who declared the training open, attributed the peace and stability enjoyed in the Niger Delta to the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Tinubu and the support of the National Security Advisor, Malam Nuhu Ribadu. He cited the 8,500 scholarship students deployed to universities in Nigeria and the 247 undergoing various postgraduate programs overseas as part of President Tinubu's deliberate effort to ensure lasting peace and developments in the region. And the senator representing Anambra Central, Victor Ume, has accused the former Borno State Governor, Ali Modu Sharif, of attempting to whip up sentiment against the presidential candidate of the Nigeria Democratic Congress, Peter Obi, in northern Nigeria ahead of the 2027 general elections. Ume was reacting to comments made by Sharif during a television program where the former governor said Northerners would not vote for Obi in 2027 because he is divisive. When reminded that Obi secured substantial votes in states such as Nasarawa and Plateau during the 2023 presidential election, Sharif dismissed the comparison, arguing that circumstances had changed. Responding on the same program, Ume said Sharif was still operating with outdated political thinking, adding that Nigeria had moved beyond such divisive politics. Still ahead on the midday news, Tinubu orders 30-day ICPC probe over fake agency. Plus foreign and sports stories coming up after this timeout. Please stay with us.
In the heart of Asaba, where the street tells the stories every single day.
From the corridors of powers to the decisions shaping governance and politics in Delta and Nigeria.
From traders counting every naira to families battling rising costs and uncertain times.
From football pitches to sporting successes to the major developments making the headlines all over the world.
And from the untold human stories, the struggles, victories, resilience, and hope of the everyday Nigerians.
This is the news beyond the headlines. Dott TV News are your trusted window to stories that truly matter to the people. Here, we don't just report events, we tell the human stories behind them.
Thanks for still being there. Now to the rest of our stories. President Bola Tinubu has directed the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission to conduct a thorough investigation into the activities of the fictitious Presidential Foreign Intervention Promotion Council and all related matters, demanding a comprehensive report within 30 days. Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, said the directive follows the discovery of the fictitious council, which the presidency said was never established by the federal government and has no basis in the law. Tinubu directed the ICPC to investigate the forged appointment letters and official government documents allegedly used by one Adeniyi Adeyemi, who presented himself as Director General of the so-called council and falsely claimed to be a presidential appointee. The investigation is also to cover his use of a false claim of presidential appointment to seek or obtain official recognition and diplomatic support, including visa facilitation, as well as the opening of multiple bank accounts in the names of purported government agencies using allegedly forged documents. Also, President Bola Tinubu has inaugurated the Presidential Working Group on the National Policing Bill to develop the legal framework for the implementation of state police across the country. According to a statement by the president's spokesman, Bayo Onanuga, Tinubu, represented by his chief of staff, Femi Wajebiamila, inaugurated the committee at the presidential villa in Abuja. The inauguration followed the National Assembly's passage of the Constitution Alteration State Police Bill 2026, which proposes a dual policing structure comprising the Federal Police Service and 36 state police services. Onanuga said that the president noted that while the constitutional amendment establishes the framework for state police, the National Policing Bill will provide the legal structure for its implementation. In other news, the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission has alleged that former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai violated the conditions of a court-approved medical visit while in the Commission's custody. The Commission also announced the arrest of his personal physician, Bello Abubakar, for allegedly making false statements. In a statement by his spokesperson and head of media and public communications, John Ode, the Commission said it had facilitated El-Rufai's medical visit in compliance with a court directive and its statutory obligation to respect the rights and welfare of persons in its custody. The ICPC disclosed that the Kaduna State High Court had fixed July 6, 7, and 8, 2026 for the accelerated hearing of criminal charges against the former governor, but that he failed to appear on the first day of proceedings. For news on the international scene, let's now join Priscilla Ifanyi.
The US has launched powerful strikes on Iran in response to attacks on 3 oil tankers in the Strait of Hormuz. US Central Command said on Tuesday it had hit over 80 targets, including more than 60 Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps small boats in the straits. Iranian state media says strike hit Qasem Island, Bandar Abbas, and Sarik, where people have been injured by shrapnel. Iran has not directly claimed responsibility for the attacks on the 3 tankers that led to the U.S. launching strikes. The IRGC said it has responded with retaliatory attacks on U.S. military sites in Bahrain and Kuwait in the early hours of Wednesday morning. Missiles and drones were launched at 85 key U.S. military facilities in 2 countries, including a U.S. Navy headquarters and an air base in Kuwait, the IRGC said. Earlier on Tuesday, Iran's deputy foreign minister described the U.S. attack as a violation of the U.S.-Iran memorandum signed last month and warned Tehran would take decisive measures. Meanwhile, oil prices have surged as new renewed hostilities between the United States and Iran threaten to derail a fragile ceasefire that had brought some relief to global energy markets. Brent crude, the main international benchmark, rose as much as 3% on Wednesday, reversing a slide that had seen prices return to pre-war levels. The jump comes after the U.S. launched strikes on Iran and revoked a temporary waiver of sanctions on Iranian oil, following attacks on 3 commercial vessels in the Strait of Hormuz. U.S., Qatari, and Saudi officials blame Iran for the attack on the vessels. U.S. Central Command said on X that it has begun launching a series of powerful strikes against Iran to impose heavy costs for targeting and attacking commercial ships crewed by innocent civilians in an international waterway. To the United Kingdom, where amber and yellow heat health alerts have come into effect across England as the country braces for one of the longest-lasting heat waves since 1976. Temperatures are set to rise as high as 36 degrees Celsius for parts of southern England this week. However, readings will range widely across the country from the mid-20s Celsius in the north to the mid-30s Celsius further south. The Midland, Eastern and Southern England are under amber heat health alert by the UK Health Security Agency until 21 o'clock on July 12th. Meanwhile, yellow heat health alerts are in force across Northern England for the same period. Significant impacts are likely across health and social care services due to the high temperatures, including a rise in deaths, particularly among those aged 65 and over or those with health conditions. Elsewhere, Damascus was rocked on Tuesday by explosions during a visit by the French President Emmanuel Macron, the first European Union leader to visit the country since forces led by President Ahmad al-Shara deposed Bashar al-Assad in December 2024. A separate bomb explosion at a Damascus cafe last week killed at least 9 people. 18 people were reported injured in the latest explosions on Tuesday, which occurred after an initial device that security forces were diffusing near the French president's hotel detonated, followed by a second explosion some minutes after. Al-Shara's government has faced innumerable challenges since al-Assad ousted 2 years ago. Having taken control of a bitterly divided country, wrecked by years of civil war, which served as a theater for outside actors such as Russia, Iran, and its various allied Shia militants, joblessness remained high and the rule of law uncertain. While responsibility for the recent spate of the bombing remains unknown, conjecture is centering upon the remnant of the ISIL group.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. عم صور قام صار انفجار ثاني. Allahu Akbar.
Priscilla Ifani, Dott TV News.
For sports stories, here is Anthony Uche.
Defending champions Argentina secured a comeback for the age in one of the tournament's most controversial games against Egypt to book their quarterfinal spot following a stoppage time winner. The African nation took a 2-goal lead heading into the last 11 minutes of the game thanks to goals from Yasser Ibrahim and Mustafa Ziko. But Christian Romero had the deficit 11 minutes from time before Lionel Messi, who had missed the first half penalty, equalized 5 minutes later to set up a nail-biting finish. Enzo Fernandez completed the comeback 2 minutes into injury time, heading home Lautaro Martinez's cross to set up a quarter-final tie against Switzerland. Switzerland, on the other hand, have reached the last 8 of the World Cup for the first time since 1954, following a nervous penalty shootout victory over Colombia in Vancouver. Gregor Kobel was Switzerland's penalty hero as he pulled off a stunning save from Colombia's Cucho Hernandez to send his nation into the quarterfinal. There will be no World Cup action today, but the quarterfinals kick off on Thursday with France taking on Morocco. Now in tennis, Novak Djokovic produced an astonishing performance to beat Felix Auger-Aliassime 5 sets, lasting over 5 hours to set up a blockbuster semi-finals against defending champion Yannick Sinner. The world number 1, who defeated German Jan-Lennard Struff earlier on Tuesday and will go in as favourites in a repeat of last year's semi-finals. On the ladies' draw, Coco Gauff overcame her recent Grand Slam struggles to reach the Wimbledon semi-final with a battling victory over Jessica Pegula. The 2-time Grand Slam singles champion had never previously gone beyond the 4th round at the All England club and suffered a first-round exit last year, but she recovered from an error-strewn start against world number 4 Pegula to win 4-6, 6-3, 6-3. Gauff will face Karolina Mukova for a place in the final after the Czech 10th seed defeated Naomi Osaka, ending her impressive run in a high-quality contest. From the sports desk, Anthony Uche for Dott TV News.
And that's a wrap on the midday news on Dott TV. Thank you for joining us. I am Chiamaka Ezaputa.